The current Ford Ranger has been on the market for about 2 years now. And yet despite newer competition, the Ranger still happens to be our class favorite. Now though, we're taking a look at the more potent Ranger Raptor, in which the very things that make this an off-road beast also make it the best pickup to be driven on paved roads. So the current Ford Ranger has been in the market for about 2 years now. And despite newer competition like the Mitsubishi Triton, I still do think that this pickup is still one of the best looking of the bunch. That's especially true here with the Ranger Raptor because ang sobrang gwapo talaga niya in my opinion, especially with the proportions, no? So what you now get here is the FORD grille, just in matte black in this case. And you also have wider fenders, which results in the Ranger Raptor being 10 centimeters wider than the standard Ranger. Again, being the Raptor, you also have 18-inch wheels here, which are wrapped in chunky BF Goodrich all-terrain tires. So moving towards the side, you're gonna see yung kanyang stainless steel step boards. Kayang-kaya niya ang weight ko, of course. Yeah, it's really very sturdy. Then, as you move towards the back, you're gonna see here na yung kanyang fenders here are much wider than compared to the standard Ranger. Again, to complement the Ranger Raptor's tougher and more butch looks. Then basically at the tailgate of this pickup, you have the Ranger logo stamped at the bottom of the tailgate itself. And also worth noting, by the way, that the Ford logo sa kanang tailgate is in black as opposed to the usual blue that you would find in other Ford vehicles. Nice exterior, very aggressive and very handsome exterior. So I think that's a good time na ngayon for us to hop inside this new Ranger Raptor. And by the way, because of that, there's already one potential issue for some buyers with the Ranger Raptor here, and that's because of the stainless steel stepboards I mentioned kanina. That's because they're pretty wide actually. So you're pretty much required to hop inside the Ranger Raptor through these stepboards. Otherwise, medyo awkward siya even for someone that's tall like me. So anyway, let's now go inside the Ranger Raptor. So basically, if you've been to any other Ford Ranger, even the Ford Everest, you're gonna be familiar with this interior layout. So fundamentally speaking, this is still the benchmark interior for me in the segment because unlike other pickups, this has soft touch plastics here on the dash. Actually, it's kind of like a suede material yung kanyang dash and the top of the door, so it feels very sporty. So of course, being the Ranger Raptor, dapat lang na ramdam mo that this is the Ranger Raptor. You spent around 2.3 million pesos for a pickup. And for the most part, they do achieve that. So you have here a lot of red trimmings here in the aircon vents. The seats, of course, especially here in these sport seats with the Ranger Raptor logo. Also being the Ranger Raptor, you have provisionary switches here or provisionary aux switches here, auxiliary switches for, you know, yung mga off-roading accessories mo like the LED lights sa bubong or the tow hitch, mga ganyan. So yeah, the switches here, itong mga auxiliary switches feel really nice. That's really good. So as for the tech features here in the Ranger Raptor, this still has the usual Sync 4 infotainment that you've come to get used to with the Ranger and Everest, which in the Raptor's case is a 12-inch touchscreen. Basically, yung pinagkaiba naman kasi yung 10-inch and the 12-inch version are the bezels, but the software part is still pretty much the same, and the functionality part, again, yung nga, it's still very much the same despite having a bigger or, in the case of the lower variants, a slightly smaller screen size. Also worth noting, by the way, is that the Sync 4 here has gotten a software update. May onting nabago such as the vehicle settings. So before, you used to have an icon on the upper left representing the Ford Ranger, and that's where you can adjust the vehicle settings. But now, in this case, in the updated Sync 4, you now have a home button along with the shortcut button for the settings and the 360-degree camera system. So if you currently own a Ranger and Everest, itong mga software updates ito will eventually reach your car if you take it for a service. And that's basically the nature of Sync 4 being future-proof in terms of the software updates, and you have the ability pa rin to get new features down the line. Apart from the infotainment, as mentioned, you have wireless Apple CarPlay, of course, and Android Auto, along with wireless charging and 2-zone climate control. Let's now talk about ngayon the digital gauges. So here in the Ranger Raptor, what you now get is a larger 12.3-inch screen for the digital gauges, which is basically what you would find in the Ford Everest Titanium 4x4. So other features worth talking about na rin are the power adjustable front seats here in the Ranger Raptor. And let's now talk about naman ngayon the rear seats, because in terms of the rear seats, again, just like the standard Ranger or the Ranger Wildtrak rather, there's really not much in terms of separation between this and the Ranger Wildtrak. It's still pretty much the same. You have rear USB ports, you have your rear aircon vents, and you also have a 220-volt outlet, or basically a household outlet here sa likod for the rear passengers. Yun nga lang worth talking about with the Ranger Raptor's rear space is the fact that in terms of legroom, it's marginally smaller than the standard Ranger models, and that's because of these lovely bucket seats eating a bit into the rear legroom. Under the hood of the Ford Ranger Raptor is a twin-turbo 2-liter diesel engine, basically the same engine as the Wildtrak 4x4. This is of course mated to a 10-speed automatic, along with 4-wheel drive, a rear differential lock, and of course Ford's terrain management system. Of course, being a Ranger Raptor, ito ay naka-Fox branded shock absorbers, along with other mechanical and chassis enhancements. Yun nga lang, it's worth mentioning that due to its coil spring rear suspension, it also has one of the lowest payload ratings. But as you'll see in the driving experience, these traits make the Ford Ranger Raptor the best pickup to be driven on paved roads. I'm currently on my way to pick up a few friends on our way to a light off-road trail going to a farm of sorts in Rizal. And I think it's a good time for us to talk about first how the Ranger Raptor performs here on the highway. So, the things that make the Ranger Raptor so good in terms of its off-roading prowess also makes it one of the best pickups, or actually not one of the best, the absolute best, I think, the best pickup in terms of the on-road driving. As you know naman with the Ranger Raptor, this gets the famous Fox shocks. Yun nga lang for our market, for models basically with the 2-liter turbo diesel engine, it doesn't get the adaptive electronic control for the rear dampers. So yun nga lang, there's a bit of a trade-off in our market versus the ones with the twin-turbo V6 gas engine. But even then, because of yun nga, the Fox shocks and the coil springs at the back, this is the absolute best riding pickup in terms of the ride quality. So, ito yung one of those pickups talaga, or actually one of those cars na totoo lang, where I don't really care kung anong lubak ang daanan ko, because this is unfazed by any road imperfection. Of course, this is still a pickup, so meaning if you're gonna be going through some bumps, may onting vibrations ka pa rin and shimmying from the body-on-frame chassis as expected from a pickup. Kasi syempre magkahiwalay ng structure yung bed mo and the cab of this Ranger Raptor. But apart from that, this is the best riding pickup for me in the segment and in the price point. And let's now talk about the car's drivetrain, because that's the one thing where I think Ford ngayon has really done a good job with the Ranger Raptor, because the 10-speed automatic is now perfect. I've driven this in the city, I've driven this on the highway through twisty roads, and it's a perfect transmission at this point. There's no jerkiness, there's no indecisiveness. It really works flawlessly perfect at this point. So I think Ford has done a bit of calibration, a bit of software tweaking with the 10-speed automatic, even though the current Ranger and Everest are now in the market. Good job on Ford for that part. And I think the transmission now works really well in tandem with the 2-liter twin-turbo diesel engine of the Ranger Raptor. And I also would presume that it's the same case na rin ngayon with the Ford Everest and Ranger Wildtrak. Basically, the 10-speed automatic is doing such a good job of shuffling the right gear at the right time to basically maximize the small power band, the small torque band rather, or the small torque curve of this twin-turbo diesel engine. Kaya it's really not short on power, whatever the driving situation, making this one of the best drivetrains na ngayon for me in the segment. So, in terms of the refinement aspect, I've always said the Ranger and the Everest are the best in class din in terms of quietness, road and wind noise suppression, and that still holds true here in the Ranger Raptor. Yun nga lang, because of the all-terrain chunky tires, they do induce a bit more road noise compared to the Ranger Wildtrak, but it's just a minute difference. It's not a deal breaker, to be honest. It's still a very quiet pickup, far quieter still pa rin than some other pickups that are not using all-terrain tires. Now, as for fuel economy, there's a bit of a penalty in terms of the fuel economy because of those all-terrain tires compared to the Ranger. but it's not too bad pa rin in my opinion. So, the Ranger 4x2, I was able to do around 11 kilometers per liter at best. While in the Ford Everest naman, ganun din, mga around 11 kilometers per liter at best din. Usually, of course, with my driving scenario kasi I don't experience traffic, so just take note of that part because I drive outside Metro Manila palagi. But while here naman ngayon in the Ranger Wild Track, or rather the Ranger Raptor, it's currently doing 9.5 kilometers per liter at the moment. So, yeah, there's a fuel economy penalty, but it's not too bad, I think, because you have to remember na at 9.5 kilometers per liter, ito ang fuel economy ng Nissan Navara in my usual traffic-free driving outside Metro Manila. So, it's pretty good, especially considering the amount of near-end capability that this pickup has to offer. Now, I've picked up my friends on our way to our off-roading trip to Tanay. So, you've actually met most of them naman in our past videos. You can see their names sa baba ng screen, just as a reminder. And yeah, so again, we're here ngayon on the way to our off-roading trip sa Tanay. And as I've mentioned kanina, basically, all of the stuff that makes the Ranger Raptor such a great off-roader also makes it the best handling pickup in my opinion here in the twisty road. So, electric power steering is heavier compared to the Everest and the Ranger. Yet at the same time, there's precision dialed into the steering wheel. Kaya, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually fun to hustle this pickup to the corners. I wouldn't expect in a pickup usually kasi they tend to have wishy-washy steering, sobrang inaccurate and walang feedback on center yung mga steering wheel nila. But here in the Raptor, it's really clawing onto the road really well kahit naka all-terrain tire siya. Though granted nga lang, the all-terrain tires are meant syempre for off-roading, so in terms of lateral grip, di rin siya like yung, let's say for example, di siya yung meant talaga for sporty handling, but grip levels are still pretty good nonetheless despite the thick thread of the all-terrain tires. Now, as for the transmission, kanina sa highway, we explored na the transmission is really the best na ngayon at this point. It's really well calibrated yung kinang 10-speed automatic. And here in the twisties, let's put the car by the way in manual mode kasi may magnesium paddle shifters to by the way. Yeah, magandang response yung gearbox niya. Even if if you want to play around with this car basically, it's really fun ngayon. Downshift to third, maganda ng sipa niya. Alam, may mga motor tayo sa harap pero okay naman yung pace nila, they're not slow. Pero musta pala yung how's the ride back there? Kasi this is a pickup, so let's be honest, in terms of legroom, pickups aren't necessarily the best. Kasi the rear section of a pickup usually is too vertical. So musta yung space nyo naman dyan? Now that we have 3 people at the back here in the Ranger Raptor.
Okay naman, it's good, all good. Really
Hi,
wide.
my name is Gerard and I am a backseat passenger. The experience here at the back is 5 out of 5.
Wow!
NPC.
Very NPC yun ha? Very NPC review. Yan.
Actually, maluwag nga yung legroom.
Okay, that's nice.
Even na pick up, merong
Kung maganda yung posture mo.
Basically, the things that makes this one of the best and most capable off-roaders for like yung mga baha or yung mga sand dunes na tatalon yung Ranger Raptor also makes it the best in terms of on-road handling and ride quality. Then here in these twisty roads, again, as mentioned kanina, this is the 2-liter turbo diesel engine, the twin turbo diesel, which as you've seen in my past reviews of the Ranger and the Everest, has a very narrow power band, but with the 10-speed automatic, it's really doing a good job of taking advantage of that narrow power band sa engine na to. Good job again, as mentioned kanina on Ford's part with how they've calibrated the engine and transmission at this point. It's really, really good. So, based on the surface, I think we're gonna be going to mud ruts kasi based on the terrain. To be honest, actually, what we're doing ngayon based on what I'm seeing, you're gonna be able to use your Ranger Wild Track or even basically just the normal pickups with the 4x4 system. Kaya na ng mga ganong pickups. So this is not actually something that's extreme lang, yeah, basically na the Raptor only could do. So yeah, let's do the off-road trail ngayon. With the terrain management system, there's drive modes such as yung mud ruts, slippery, sand, whatever. That works in tandem with the electronically controlled four-wheel drive system. So yun nga, you have the usual 4 high, 4 low, and the rear diff lock. But based on what we're gonna be going ngayon, we actually don't need the diff lock. This is actually tame enough for not the use of a diff lock.
Ooh. Hi. My name is Gerard.
Woo!
Oh, there's fish.
Let's go. There's fish.
Nakita yung isda from the Raptor.
Hi. My name is Gerard.
Ayun o. Pangat siya.
What the? May shark, pare.
Come on.
And so again, this is a trail that even your 4x4 could do. Hindi to something that's only unique to the Ranger Raptor. So basically TLDR, what we're trying to highlight here is that itong sa trail na to, yun nga, it's not extreme actually. It's very light lang. But what the Ranger Raptor, or actually even the Ranger Wild Track could do is that this basically makes off-roading very easy because of all the tech features. You don't really have to think about it that much. You just have to select the drive mode that's appropriate for the surface, and the car will basically sort everything out for you. Yeah, basically with a car like this, it makes off-roading very easy. At ang maganda sa kanya, if you're gonna see in the display, it also shows where your tires are gonna point.
Ba't pala dinala kayo Mirage ko dito?
So, the Ford Ranger Raptor starts at a little under 2.4 million pesos, making it one of the most expensive in its segment. Then again, the Ranger Raptor is the most capable as well. I may sound like a broken record at this point, pero basically, albeit at the expense of payload capability, the Ranger Raptor is the best pickup you could buy in terms of both off-road and on-road performance. It is therefore the absolute best pickup based on our lifestyle intentions with this type of vehicle.